one giant leap for India. The Union Cabinet gave a Hanuman leap to the Indian Space Research Organization by clearing a slew of projects. I have with me Dr. S. Somanath. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Dr. Somanath is the chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization, and he will tell us all about India's and Isro's roadmap for harnessing space technology. Let's have a seat, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Somanath, unprecedented clearances, thousands of crores of rupees cleared by the Union Cabinet for the Indian Space Research Organization, fabulous 4 projects cleared. Let's break them down one by one.
Okay.
First question, how did you manage to get so much money for ISRO?
See, this were part of the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, which he announced some time back. You would have noted that in the Amrit Kal, we need to do many things, especially with the success of Chandrayaan 3 behind us. We need to continue missions to moon, and we must build our own space station, and we must ultimately land an Indian on the moon and bring them back. So if you have to achieve by 2040, and if all this need to be achieved, we need to have a long-term perspective of how we are going to achieve all those technological capabilities. So it's a long vision for around 25 years. So what we did is we split down that vision to goals and targets and missions and projects. So what we need to do in the first segment of it, about 8 to 9 years, is what we have now went to the Union government and sought the approval. And many more are yet to come. In the coming years, it has to happen. So basically, the capabilities of continuing the missions to moon and coming back, which is an essential capability. Having a higher payload capability is essential if you have to go to moon and land on the moon with a man up there. And of course, that we need to continue the scientific work that we are continuing to do, and also the building the Gaganyaan program in a continuation manner. The human spaceflight cannot be limited by just one mission. So we need to continue, and when you continue that, there must be a reason for continuation. The reason is the space station, because the space station allows you another outpost up there for human to continue and work for longer period. Of course, to enable him to travel beyond that point up to moon.
Now, let's break this down one by one, and let's start with a mission which captures the minds of people, which is a visit to the moon. And Chandrayaan 4 has been cleared by the Union Cabinet. What is special about Chandrayaan 4, and why should India be excited about going back to the Shiva Shakti point?
See, Chandrayaan 3 demonstrated that it is possible for us to go and land, soft land at a particular location, bring out a rover like the Gaganyaan, and then do scientific experiments. 5 of them did very well, and we had a 100% plus result out of Chandrayaan 3. It has been greatly increased our confidence in doing such interplanetary missions. Now, working on that capability, the next step is to go and come back safely, bringing the ability to come back safely from another planet back to Earth, which is again a huge challenge, like going from Earth. So if you have to do that, we need to develop many technologies. For example, we need to know how to dock in Earth orbit, how to dock in Moon's orbit, how to take off as a rocket from surface of the Moon, then re-enter Earth's atmosphere using one which will survive the flight. So all these are packaged in Chandrayaan 4. And of course, when you did that, we will have scientific objectives like sample collection and other measures which are required as part of any typical scientific mission. Of course, we would like to go back to Shiva Shakti point again, because it's still continuing to be interesting. A lot of scientific goals are there near to the South Pole.
Now, bringing a sample back, it came back in 1969, and we are attempting it in 2026-27 framework.
Yes.
Is that a feasible goal for a large country like India?
Feasible, I don't know why you use the word feasible. Feasible definitely is, because you are also referring that somebody did it long time back. So then you will assume that it is feasible. But you have to understand that once it was done in those periods, nobody continued that. Even now, those countries who did it stopped doing it. The renewed interest in moon is because of many reasons. First thing is that expenses that were there at that point in time to go to moon and bring back samples were huge. Today it is not so. the access to space has enabled us to do it at a lower cost. Chandrayaan 3 is an example of how to go to moon and do that. Even for Chandrayaan 4 to bring that sample, you would have seen the budget allocation is not huge in that sense, that the type of money that earlier was spent. So this is first point of it. Second point, there is a renewed interest by everyone, including US, China, Russia and many others, to go to moon and do the same thing.
Yeah, and all of it started after Chandrayaan 1.
Oh, yeah, of course. Chandrayaan 1 again, I must tell you, 1960 though went and brought the samples. None of them found water on the moon.
Yes.
Then who found the water on the moon?
Chandrayaan
It was Chandrayaan
1.
1. And that too using a remote sensing
Correct.
instrument. So there are possibilities which will be surprising for everyone. If India go to moon, we will bring something new.
Obviously, even with Chandrayaan 3,
Yeah,
the results which are coming out are showing startling results.
precisely.
It's fascinating. A paper in Nature
Yeah.
in the first instance is a huge achievement for a mission like that. Now, how difficult is it to bring samples back from the moon?
No, there are many challenges of bringing sample. One is sample is not readily available there. You need to go and pick it, the right sample. It's not the soil on the surface that you want to do. You have to drill and collect it from different layers, because you need to understand at different layers how is it. So there must be a driller or a boring instrument that is needed to be deployed from the machine. And after that, the sample is to be picked out. It has to be containerized so that it is not lost. So there is a robotic activity of picking and putting in a container, sealing it and storing it someplace. And after that, that place will not come back to Earth. We need to transfer that from that place to a safer place which will be returning to Earth. So there is a transfer involved. And this sample has to go back in the vehicle that will lift off from there. So you need to transfer from the one which is drilling, which is a lander, to another one which will take off from the moon surface. So that transfer is involved. And after reaching orbit also, you need to transfer from that to the return vehicle. So this transferring is fully robotic and can go wrong if you are not very careful, in that times losing the sample or not able to put it at the right place and not locking properly. Many things have happened in the history. Even robotic collection of samples failed. They drilled and lifted it, but it was not attached. Finally, when it was dropped into the container, nothing was
there. Yes.
So such things happen. So these are criticalities in this, and we need to rehearse it, do it many times to prove it.
So first time we'll use 2 rockets for the same mission?
That's what we have envisaged. It is not possible for us to develop a new rocket by the time we want to do this Chandrayaan 4 mission, because Chandrayaan 4 involves taking off from moon and coming back to Earth. Yes. It is another mission. So the mass of the spacecraft is double that we launched in Chandrayaan 3, and our LVM-3 can do only 4 tons. So if you have to launch 8 tons, the only option I have is to do 2 launches and then dock in the space and go. So that's what we have conceived. Before we develop our new NGLV, we want to do this mission.
Now, some of what you needed to do in Chandrayaan 4, you achieved in Chandrayaan 3. And let's not spend some time, but Chandrayaan 3 was a mission which got more than what its share of, because you brought the propulsion module back, you did a
they were more of software and algorithmic work than the hardware work.
Yes.
They were not designed for coming back. So, but we exercise the software and commanding.
Now, let's leave Chandrayaan 4 here. Yeah. The cabinet also cleared a mission to Venus. Yes. We had a very successful mission to Mars with Mangalyaan. Now this Venus orbiter mission, what is likely to be achieved in that, and when are we likely to launch it?
See, all of you know that the Mars and Venus are our pair planets, having similar characteristics but very distinct differences. Unlike Earth, the Mars has a very thin atmosphere, a gravity which is slightly smaller, and Venus is 100 times atmosphere with a gravity which is similar, and periodicity is also similar. So there is something that we need to learn, how Earth is a living planet where these two got deserted to become dead planets.
Correct.
This is something which is scientifically very important, and many missions are happened in the past in the Venus, and some of them are going to happen in 2028 with other nations. So we are part of that larger global interest in Venus once again, and we would like to look at many things in Venus. The atmosphere is very thick, it is full of sulfuric acid, there is also volcanism. So we want to understand that, the whole probe into the atmosphere and understand. Also we want to look at the surface behavior, which is very difficult to understand. So we are designing probes that will go into the atmosphere.
Also, you are going to drop some balloons into the
that we will tell you what exactly it is.
I know, I roughly know, I roughly know how it is done, and that is how you.
There were many designs of it. So we are looking at it slightly different design, not exactly the balloon. So we will have to probe the surface and collect the data. So
we are wanting to go to the surface of Venus.
yeah, through the atmosphere. We may reach sometimes, we may not reach, depends on
It is very toxic.
yeah, it is very toxic. It is 100 bar pressure
Yes.
and sulfuric acid. So it is difficult, but at least let us make an attempt. Make an attempt.
We made an attempt with Moon Impact Probe in Chandrayaan 1 to go to the Moon, and we did achieve that.
Yes, yes.
So with Venus also you can do.
Possibly, yes, we will work on that, and unless we are very sure about it, that I can't declare that.
Will it be
definitely
with international participation?
Right
or-
now, we are discussing with our own Indian scientific community. We've done that at many workshops with the institutions, academia, and other scientific laboratories in this country, and found out around 35 people are really interested in Venusian science, and we are making use of them to build instruments as well as Isro support.
Now, among the other missions which were cleared was also the development of the new generation launch vehicle. One, what is this new generation launch vehicle? What can it do? And how much has been achieved till now?
See, what we lack in the rockets, the current fleet of rockets, is something that we must realize. One, we developed this with the technology that was available little in the past. PSLV, for example, was developed in the 1980s, 90s, and it has lived through its life of about 50 plus launches. It will continue for some of that. And the next generation GSLV, the cryogenics came. Then the LVM3 came with our own cryogenics.
Launch vehicle Mark III.
Primarily, LVM3 is an upgraded version of the non-technologies. We didn't bring drastically new technologies, but the whole focus was on scaling it up to have high payload capability. But now the world is changing in terms of launcher capability, primarily on cost effectiveness, simplicity, faster throughput, production friendliness, large numbers, etc. becomes the driving factors of rockets. So we need to move in that direction. Second direction is modularity, green use of technologies. So we are bringing in all of this into it. The first and foremost is that we make a very simple and a modular architecture which is scalable, so as to go to man on the moon at a later point in time. So this is a goal, but not tomorrow. Tomorrow we have to do many missions to build Bhartiya Antariksha Station and other missions, but by 2040 we must have a rocket which will take man to the moon. For that we need to have modular structure. Second, we want to go to a reusable capability, that the booster stage will come back and land, so we can use multiple times, so as to bring the cost of the rocket substantially down. We want to use greener technology like locksmith and cryogenics only, and move away from the
LOX is liquid oxygen.
liquid oxygen and kerosene,
Methane.
in place of kerosene, and also liquid and hydrogen cryogenic propulsion, and move away as much as possible from the current carcinogenic propellants. Then engine, we develop a new engine, a 100-ton engine, which is throttleable, which is essential for return to launch site, and use multiple engine in the clustered configuration to build the rocket. So these elements has gone into the new development of the rocket. So, and also size as big as possible with the available capability of the Indian industry. Though if it is bigger, I would have been happier, but with the current manufacturing ecosystem in this country, I can't make it still bigger.
No, it's taller than the Qutub Minar. It's 92 meters tall.
Height is one part. The diameter is something which is constraining us today, because if I want 10-meter diameter, it is difficult to manufacture in this country with the infrastructure available. So we have to look at all of those aspects so that it is feasible to do it in faster pace and don't depend on immediately foreign technologies.
Now, you had NGLV we spoke about.
Yeah.
The cabinet also cleared an NGLV-H. Now that is human?
No, it is not human, it is heavy. So we have to achieve 30-ton capability, LEO, and also we want to use a reusable capability with a lower payload. So both are important. Suppose you have to send communication satellites of 5-ton, 6-ton class, I should be able to use as a rocket without the boosters, and so that it will go and launch and come back to the landing site. Hence my cost will be lower than even LVM3 in that configuration. So a new rocket which is 3 times the powerful, but 1.5 times less costlier than, 1.5 times only costly higher than LVM.
But it also says capable of crewed flights.
At a later point.
So you'll have to do some human rating of
At
it?
the very beginning it will be human rated.
Oh, from the beginning it will be human rated.
Yes, yes.
So we'll be one step closer to having a man or an Indian on the moon once we have the NGLV in place.
Yeah.
Now NGLV also brings us to the big Bhartiya Antariksha Station.
Yeah.
Now, the cabinet cleared what people are saying is Gaganyaan on steroids or Gaganyaan plus, doubling the allocation for Gaganyaan. Now, what is the key steps which have been added to Gaganyaan, and what are the key objectives of the Bhartiya Antariksha Station?
See, if you have to build a Bhartiya Antariksha Station, the purpose is to be very clear in our mind. A space station is a place where human can go and come back on a frequent trips. But if you are looking at Gaganyaan program, it was the module was going to orbit and coming back, and nothing is left there. Again, you have to go, and they are living in a very constrained space in the crew module. But the space station is a massive facility, which is living quarters. You can live there, you can set up instruments which will work for months and years together, and people can go and come back. Scientists can go back, the astronauts can, Gaganyatris can go and come back, and it can be used as a permanent station for India to conduct many instruments, experiments on various areas, microgravity, biological, space related. So, space station and human space flight are well connected. So, we thought that when we are working on the first part of the Bhartiya Antariksha Station development, why not we use Gaganyaan as a test bed capability, enhance it to reach up to BA's first module. But that is not enough. We need to build the remaining part of the module and make a Antariksha Station fully. I think definitely that will come at a later part of the program. But today we need to achieve the first module of the BAS to be launched and operated, so that Gaganyaan can go and dock and do experiments on a continuous basis. So that's why the Gaganyaan program is expanded with additional missions, with human missions, docking missions, robotic missions, missions to ISS, etc. are part of the whole BAS.
Initially Gaganyaan was cleared for one human space flight. Now, in this additional clearance which has come, how many human space flights have been cleared for Gaganyaan?
So, Gaganyaan, we have got a clearance for one more human space flight mission. Then we have one extra unmanned, uncrewed mission. We have a mission to launch the BA's first module. Then another manned mission to go to and dock with an international space station, not our base space station. And lastly,
meaning our crew module docks with an international space station or its next step.
Because it is important for us to make use of our crew module as a potential delivery platform for an international space station.
Sure.
And finally, use our crew module to go and dock with our base Bhartiya Antariksha Station in an uncrewed format to start with. But little later it will become crewed. So we have added 5 additional missions and also building up of all these additional hardwares.
Complex tasks, how will you achieve so much in so little time?
Without being a complex task, what for we are, the whole purpose of space activity is to work on complex tasks and achieve that, succeed in that. I think we have gone through enough of discussions, review internal to Isro for the last 1 year after the Honorable Prime Minister's announcement, and we are convinced we can do that.
Do you have enough people who will be able to deliver such complex missions in a limited time? The Prime Minister is a hard taskmaster. He does not, and ISRO also delivers with budget, within budget and within time. Will you be able to deliver so much?
No, with that hope only we have gone to this level. See, you must realize that after the space sector reforms has happened, there is a repurposing of ISRO. Now we are focusing more into the development technologies and R&D, and move away from the production linked activities, and we going into industries in a big manner. Steps are taken towards that direction. Everything has not become operational yet. But still, we make sure that the available manpower is better utilized for R&D work rather than operational and production work. So we hope that if the transition is taking place, people also changes, new people getting recruited over a period of time, replacing them. They will be organized in a manner to do these type of tasks.
Yes, because initially there was a feeling that ISRO is losing track. All the routine missions are being taken over by the industry. What will ISRO do? So this is now a repurposed ISRO.
No, this is precisely the goal of the reform, space sector reform. We must repurpose, because the challenges in the space sector are big. Globally, there are changes happening in terms of new technologies coming, the new activities taking place, and ISRO with its limited resources were unprepared to take all those tasks. That is why the operational assets, operational activity need to move out, and so that we don't spend. But operation totally cannot be taken out, because some part of that is a knowledge creating and improvement over a period of time. Those will remain. But whereas routine things which doesn't add value in terms of R&D should move out. So this very clear distinction is made.
What will be the role of startups, if any, in Mars, in Venus, in Moon, in Bhartiya Antariksha Station?
All of them will have some role to play, in my opinion, and we need to explore that, especially startups. But I can tell you, for industries, there is a huge opportunity in terms of manufacturing, supply of systems, etc. But startups, they are innovators, and they are looking at new ideas. So I will be going to each of them, offering this as platforms like Bhartiya Antariksha Station. It's a platform for you. What you want to do with that? Come up with a proposal. I will be definitely looking at those opportunities.
Now, these are planetary missions.
Yes.
These are missions looking at cutting edge work. What about the Aam Aadmi? ISRO also does work for the farmer and the fisherman. Will you forget the farmer and fisherman?
Absolutely not, because we made it very clear in our statement of purpose that putting our foot firm on the ground, that we look towards the stars. So that part is very clear. The application side of the space sector is very important. In the communication segment, the remote sensing segment, the navigation side, we connect with the ministries, departments, but the model has changed. I think we must realize that we are making them part of this whole exercise.
The demand driven model now.
Demand driven model means the ministries or departments who are actually the final delivery points cannot be ISRO, cannot be done by ISRO. It has to be done by the appropriate ministries. Agriculture work has to be done by the Ministry of Department of Agriculture and Farm Welfare. So we enable them to do that. We become the technology provider, the system provider. Similarly, the fisheries, similarly the water resources, the cartographic, the strategic users, we bring them on board and empower them to do it themselves rather than we become the front end. It should not be the case.
How did you convince the Prime Minister to give you so much money?
See, it is his vision. That I am implementing.
Wonderful.
So naturally, I think he should be very careful and cautious to understand. He definitely understood the purpose very well and what the benefit of this type of actions of long-term vision creation in space, which has never happened in the past, especially in the domain of scientific exploration, has never happened. Why he wanted to do is very clear, that the impact that it can create in the scientific minds and research capability in countries, tremendous. I think as a leader, he has understood the potential and definitely he made that vision and we are instruments to get it done.
So 21st century version of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai in front of me, which is Dr. Somanath, the Lord of the Moon.
All of them, all of us in the ISRO has a legacy. Sarabhai has his legacy. He envisioned something at a point in time when the country was going through certain state of affairs. He envisioned the space program and next generation leaders who came afterwards changed it over a period of time, suiting to the need of the situation. There is a new need and new purpose which space segment in India is required to be, and we continue to look at it from many angles: the political angle, the technological angle, the power angle, the scientific goals angle, and the programs are created.
And the geopolitical angle.
All of them. I think that is precisely the need of the hour. What is the need of the hour? We look at it and what is the capability right now we have. We always slightly lagging behind. We need to bridge it. We need to reach the top. And it can be done only by jumping through little longer jumps than what you generally do.
Is your younger staff supporting you and behind you in all of this?
All of them are excited. I have been getting messages in the last day after these announcements were there. Of course, all of them were knowing that we are working because through their work only all these proposals are done. Some of the team members of the NGLV design teams who are actually young people, I have made sure the design is done only by younger group of people, of course reviewed by the senior people, and they are all excited. The architecture of this rocket was done only by them. I have made them to do it because they are the one who is going to stand for next 20 years to do this. So they are super excited and they are on the air now.
So the roadmap fixed for taking India to a developed country and using space as a vehicle?
See, India to become a developed country, there are many domains that we need to tread. The space is one of them. I won't say that everything can be achieved through space. Space is a torch bearer or an example that you can emulate. I would like to use it like that because the space has its own domain, it has its own limitations. But we need to do in so many other segments, so many other areas, high technology domains, in the electronics, in the artificial intelligence, in the material sciences, in agriculture, in strategic sectors, communication systems. All these become part of the strong India. And I would like to make sure that space becomes one of the example, a leading example in the coming years as well.
Thanks a lot for speaking to us, Dr. Somanath. Always a pleasure listening to you, understanding from you, and also how India is going to go forward. So that was Dr. S. Somanath, whose name means Lord of the Moon, telling us how India can now take a Hanuman leap forward as it becomes a developed country. With camera person Arun Siddiqui in New Delhi, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.